Yep, we're live streaming on YouTube. So tonight, YouTube took precedent over Facebook. Here it
Facebook.
comes. It's up. I'll probably in a sec. All right. Yep, we're live. There we go. Live streaming. All right, everybody. Live streaming on YouTube. We're recording. I can always upload the recording to Facebook, because we're not live stream. But tonight, we've got CT in the house.
What's up, everybody?
And we are doing Starlight Distillery out of what part of Indiana?
It's actually the Starlight, Indiana is the name of the area it's in.
All right.
Southern Indiana. It's about 20 minutes north of Louisville.
Right. It's close to Knobs Corners and right. It's it's just in the great place. You could be in Louisville. You could be you're in Southern Indiana for everything that's there. I mean, everybody calls Southern Indiana Northern Louisville, right? Or Northern Kentucky. So anyways, what do we got tonight? What are we tasting tonight right away? Let's go over and review. I know I've got this. I have not opened it, but this was a single barrel pick that I picked up at the distillery with you when we went. And I've been waiting for a special occasion.
Yeah, and I think yours is just is a bourbon, not a rye.
Yes, a bourbon.
And I've got the infamous cigar batch. If anybody knows much about Starlight, this is like the bottle that everybody hunts for, because whenever there's a barrel pick, cigar batch is absolutely top notch. This is the maple finished. This bottle to my left, they take and finish in a maple barrel that they use on site to make their maple syrup. And then when it's emptied, they put their bourbon in it and age it for an additional, I think, 6 to 8 months to get this bottle. And then I've got the rye, and then I've got 20 other bottles we can try, whatever. They make some amazing things. I mean, I think the thing that they're known for is they have a sweet mash, which is definitely different from a lot of distilleries that typically do a sour mash. But they finish a lot of their stuff because they are a winery. Huber Winery, the family has been around for, I think, 180 years doing wine. And they finish a lot of their bourbon in wine casks. So a lot of the bottles behind me will be finished in a Pinot de Charentes. There's a VDN. There's all kinds of Tokai. You name it. They've got a lot of finishes.
That's awesome. And you've got those couple there, but the goal is to make you drink a little bit of all 20 tonight, right?
Negative. But I will say, and I've been to Starlight several times, and when you go, it is, I've told people from the first time I went there that this is a place you have to go. It's a place you can take your family, your kids. It's like, compared to here in Ohio, we live pretty close to some pretty good family farms, and there is this farm at the Huber family is pretty cool. They do a lot of stuff for the kids. They have an ice cream parlor. They grow a lot of fruits. They do a lot of things on the farm. And then, of course, the Starlight brand was born, I think, in 2001. And that is part of it as well. But when you go there, my point being that you can taste in their tastings, you go upstairs in this old barn, and the upstairs is just incredible. You've been there, and you can try anything from wine to the brandies to the bourbon. So I've probably gotten close to 20 samples in a day, including barrel samples when you thief out in the rick houses. So
yeah,
but not tonight.
No, we could always throw in a little absinthe there too, right?
No, I don't think they do absinthe. Thank God. They do rum. They do a lot of things, but I don't think they do an absinthe.
Okay.
They do honey. bourbon barrel honey, which I have a bottle of that. They do bourbon maple syrup. And then, of course, their brandies, which they're known for, um, are delicious. And the one behind me, the pear brandy, is one of the most special ones because they no longer make it. The pear trees died off a few years back, and now that is never to be made again, because as long as it takes a pear tree to grow and produce fruit, they decided that that just wasn't feasible. So they went on, and now they just do apple brandies and things like that.
Awesome. So we are on YouTube Live right now. Welcome everybody on YouTube Live. That's what you get, that little bit of extra there. So that's awesome. Tonight CT is going to go over for us a lot of stuff about Starlight. He's been there numerous times. He dragged me there the one day, and we fitted in and got to meet who was doing the tasting in the tasting room with us that day. Your guy.
I'm trying to think of who was there that day. It's hard to say. I mean, the thing about Starlight when you go is you're going to meet the family. Ted, the father, Christian, you're going to meet them because they're always there, and they're very active and wanting to make sure everybody's having a great time. So I can't remember for sure who we ran into when we were there, but again, they make you feel very welcome.
Yeah, definitely. We ran into the older guy upstairs that does all the tastings. That you kind of knew him pretty well.
Yeah, he's been there almost every time I've been there, and he's amazing. And I don't know his name, and that bothers me. But
I want to say
if you go,
but
he will definitely be one doing it.
All right, so we're gonna get ready to get started. And we got to go when so we're Facebook Live. I shared it to YouTube also. So if you're from Facebook and watching it on YouTube, welcome everybody. And then also we are going to start the regular podcast right now because I can't wait to start dipping into these bottles of Starlight. Here we go.
Sipping on some scotch. We get a little wild, but it's sure fun to watch. We love what you do, we're drinking. Through, man, we talk some sweet, but we're telling the truth.
Woo! Welcome to another podcast of the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. I'm Tiny. This is
CT. What's happening?
CT is in the house tonight. We are live Facebook. We are live YouTube. We're recording. We're doing everything like we always do. But we're the Scotchy Bourbon Boys. Love to podcast entertain you on this Tuesday night. And one of the things that was Kenny Fuller of the Luca Mariano Old Americana Band. Wonderful theme song. Thanks to Kenny. Shout out there. www.scotchybourbonboys.com for everything Scotchy Bourbon Boys. We're on all Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and Twitter. And then also check us out on all the major podcast formats. We are on, you can ask Alexa, you can ask Siri, you can go to Spotify. Check us out on those podcasts, and just know that we're here for you. We do this for you. This is all about tasting, finding places that are really cool, and letting everybody know about it, so that not only that they know they exist and where they are, but what to expect once you get there. So tonight, CT has us covered, because I think this is the most extensive podcast that you're about to do tonight, because you're kind of featured.
You know what? It's one of those things. I think with anything, you're passionate about certain things. It's hard not to be passionate about this brand because of who they are and how they do things. But you hit it on the head. The goal of this podcast is to bring other brands. Maybe you know them, maybe you don't, but bring you information so that when you're out there, that you can make a decision. And maybe our palate's different, but hey, it's there's so many different varieties. But this is a really cool story about a brand that is, from Columbus, Ohio, is about 3 hours away. So it's not like it's that far. It's just outside of Louisville. And it is by far one of the coolest experiences at a place you will go to. So we'll go through some things. We'll talk about the distillery. We'll talk about history of it. But hopefully, if people are watching and you have questions, please ask. I'll do everything I can. I've been into this place probably 5 times. I've been on a barrel pick. I've met the owner. I've drank with the owner. I have done a lot at this distillery, and I loved every time I've been there. It's one of those, I want to go back every time I have a chance. That's where I want to go.
Yeah. And I would have never, so the way, especially with the podcast, the way things happen is you kind of start to hear about certain places. I mean, Starlight as a winery is not new.
No,
I mean, even as a distillery, they've been doing this for a while.
Yeah. 180 years, 7 generations of wine and brandy. As far as bourbon, since 2001, their first barrel, I think, was bottled in 2004.
Yeah, and we were one of our main sponsors is Spirit of French Lick. So I was running down there, you were running down there, and I basically knew about Old 55 Distillery, which is Jason Fruits. He does it, which was kind of cool. And I knew about the Spirit of French Lick, and everybody knows about MGP. That's Indiana. Now, I had not heard about Starlight, but it's just recently you started hearing rumblings in the last year or two where you start to hear about them. And what they got going there is really unique and cool. I really enjoyed going there that day we were there. It's not what you kind of expect. It's almost, the winery is run, we were there on a fall day, if I'm not mistaken, September 13th, that would have been, because that was the Tuesday that we did the pick at French Lick, and we stopped off afterwards, and it was very much like going to an apple picking farm. The atmosphere was family. There was a market going on there. There was a lot of stuff going on all around. And then when you went into the distillery, they had the wines and they had they had the whiskeys, and then upstairs was their tasting room. So overall, it was really a kind of a cool experience. Now, Ted wasn't there. And that's one thing, when we were there, which I was hoping.
Andrew was the one that I think we talked to a lot. Andrew and he does most of their barrel picks, and he's there quite a bit. So,
and we did the tasting, And
Mhm.
I mean, honestly, I had been hearing actually the they won the 2022 Craft Distiller of the Year. That really kind of put them, and they with Fred, that was Fred Minnick's
Minute.
Ascot
Mhm.
Awards 2022 Distillery of the Year. And it really kind of put them on the map a little bit for what they're doing, even though they've been doing this for a while. You could tell when you went in there that was not a new distillery, nor was it. I mean, the locals would visit that distillery and enjoy themselves. There's no doubt about it. They have a vibe that's worth checking out, right?
Yeah, and
Family.
it's I think that the family aspect of it is huge because it is, like I said, when you go in, you will probably run into the owner or his sons, because they're there a lot, and they make a great bourbon, they make a great rye, but like I said earlier, the finishes are what got them on the map. There's 3 bottles in front of me, that literally probably changed the the situation for them as much as anything. And that was the cigar batch, then the honey, and then the maple. Those were so good that everybody started looking for those bottles, and it just kept growing and growing. So in 2022, they definitely exploded. And in a world, and you just said it a minute ago, that's pretty well controlled by MGP juice, which is not bad. It's great. But this is a place making their own juice to a degree that they have, I think, 5 rick houses, and they have a lot of product on hand.
Yeah, and they're there. They've got mature stock. Now, as those aren't flavored, those are the
No.
honey and the maple are aged in honey barrels, finished in honey and maple barrels. So it's kind of like it picks up that's their finished bourbons, like anything else. And then they're also their bourbon and their single barrels are, their single barrel program really has caught on. You hear a lot about people going down there and getting single barrels. So one of the cool things about it is what we're going to do coming up, what we've been talking about coming up. I'm really kind of excited about what we're going to do. We had Turner Wathen on the podcasts probably about a month ago, and Turner is working with Starlight to produce his rum mixed with rye Fortuitous Union, and then also he's having them blend with him and bottle his actual Rolling Fork brand. And he had on the podcast said the next time he's going to be down there doing that, he wants to have us come down and host us. So we're kind of pumped up. We've got, just from the standpoint, I've been bugging the shit out of CT this week. He's got to be like, yeah, he's kind of like, it's like I think I've been a pretty good friend leading up to this week, where I would call you in between. We talk a couple times a week and get things down, but it's like shit's happening, and I'm just calling. What I think yesterday I probably called you like 7 times.
17.
Yeah, and it's like every time he doesn't answer, he'll call me back. He's like, I'm sorry I didn't. I'm like, I understand. I'm bugging the shit out of you.
Hey, and it's getting close because we go down there in what, two weeks, basically, not this weekend, 2 weeks from this weekend.
Friday the 27th and Saturday the 28th. The 27th, I mean, honestly, getting to go down and podcast and get a tour with Dan McKee, that's going to be at Michter's. I guarantee you, when I walk out of there, I'm going to walk out of there with a lot of juice. I'm just ready to go. I didn't buy anything this week on release. I'm not going to buy anything leading up. I'm saving up for my Michter's tour, what we're going to be able to, and then
I agree.
And then
there's going to be some stuff there. And then, when we go to Starlight, obviously there could be some stuff with Rolling Fork, but there's going to be some Starlight barrels. They just released 2 new barrels, I think yesterday. And again, more finished. not finished, but finished in a wine barrel. And that's the thing I think that's unique to them that people probably misconstrue is they don't finish. The only thing they finish is this bottle here. And this is their blackberry, and it's their whiskey finished with a blackberry. But the thing is this blackberry is grown on the farm. So they blend it and make this blackberry whiskey, which is delicious. And this bottle, I think, is $29 or $32. It's crazy cheap for how good it is. And that's the only one. Other than that, it's a wine. They're using an old wine barrel with to finish their bourbon. So,
All right. Now, do you have any just bourbon single barrels there to?
I've got bottled and bond. I don't think I have any just single barrel bourbon. So you drink yours. I'll drink the single barrel rye. Just the regular, just because you don't have the regular rye.
Okay, you do the single barrel rye, and I'm gonna do this single barrel. Now, I opened this just a little bit. It's been sitting. Well, I mean, we did this since September. I have not been able to get at this or crack it. So now I don't have. You got any? You got light to read the back of your
Sure.
bottle?
I just need a magnifying glass because I'm getting old and I can't read this shit.
Try and be almost 60.
All right, so here I'll read this. So when they do their bottles, this will be a single barrel rye whiskey. Now there's single barrel ryes. I will tell you, if you go to the distillery, or if you go where you can buy Starlight stuff, there will be ryes that are not single barrel, and then there will be single barrel. This is a single barrel. This was selected by this is B. Huber, so this is his son, and this will be 111.5 proof. It's a 4-year age statement, and again, that's the other thing. They always put the information on their bottle, which is unique because not everybody does that. It says Starlight Distillery Straight Rye Whiskey Single Barrel releases begin as a high rye mash distilled in our copper pot stills. This whiskey ages for a minimum of 4 years in new 53-gallon charred American oak barrels stored in Huber's old rick house on the grounds of the 7th generation Huber estate, established in 1843. This whiskey is then non-chill filtered and bottled at cask strength. Enjoy. And I will say this bottle, and I have a smaller one because at that day that I went, they didn't have the big bottles of it. I have shared that bottle with a lot of people who may not have been rye people. They didn't maybe like a rye. And I said, hey, try this. And I've not had a person yet tell me that it wasn't just delicious. So it's a good single barrel.
So this single barrel Huber's is selected by
Oh, it's so sweet. God.
Ted. I've got Ted.
Yeah.
I've got Ted Huber's selection from the single barrel. This is 117.2 proof. And I'm here to tell you the nose on this reminds me of big Kentucky whiskey. So a lot of times when you're talking, distilleries in Indiana or they kind of have their own flavor profiles. Where this one, I'm picking up lots of caramel and a little bit of honey. And I forget what that root beer, the root beer that I always smell had because when we did the kit.
Yeah. The little barrels you said.
There was, but that has, there's a name for it. It's not root beer and it's not anything like earthy or anything like that, but there is a special thing that the flavor, but I forget what it is. But I get that. And then there's not a lot of ethanol. So let's give this a taste. I'm trying to think. Want to say Wow. It reminds me of barrel strength Heaven Hill.
Yeah, like Elijah Craig. Yeah.
No, actually, it's more like McKenna 10-year. That's got some nice flavor. I could taste some wood, oak, but that's really a little bit of licorice.
So this rye is one of those that you would like because it is not a tobacco-y. It's not a, it's got a little bit of
Ooh.
baking spice, but in a sweet, almost, I wouldn't say necessarily it's brown sugar, but it's sweet. And it has that butterscotch. This is one of the better flavored ryes, honestly, that you come across without being finished in something. So
That's awesome.
yeah, you would love this one. This is one for sure that for a rye, you'd be all on that.
All right. So I'm going to pour a little bit more for tonight because now we're on to you. The one thing I want to say is Thursday, which is our next podcast, if you're listening, Thursday, we are doing and having CT will be here, master distiller Greg Schneider for Chicken Cock whiskey and bourbon and that brand. And Greg is joining us for that. And
Awesome.
I am excited. I will have to get the Facebook Live running somehow. I was really kind of, I can't just go to YouTube. I want that one to go to Facebook Live. So before tomorrow, I'll be setting up something and making sure that Facebook Live accepts what I'm doing here, which I just found ridiculous, right?
Well, anybody that, watching us may be one thing, but if you don't have anything going on Thursday night, you've got to watch Greg because he's a legend. I mean, he has done so much in his 40-ish years of bourbon and whiskey that it's one of those guys that when he sits there and talks, you just listen. You just want to absorb everything that he's saying and telling you. So definitely tune in Thursday.
Yeah, he started in Seagram's in 1978. That's 45 years ago. And but he was retired, brought back started working as a consultant, and then he came back with Grain and Barrel Spirits to revive this brand. And he's doing a fantastic job. So make sure you check us out 2 days. Or the next podcast, if you're listening to this like 3 weeks from now or a year from now, just listen to the next one after this one, because this one, this is going to be a good one. You're going to find out a lot about Greg. We basically have been with Greg almost from the beginning, and he has come up and done tastings, and now he's going to be doing the podcast with us via Zoom for the next one. All right.
I'm back.
So, it's funny when I think last week I only had a total, even including the glass of wine, total of about 6 versions of a drinks. So I'm way down on pours. This 2 on one podcast, I think 2 on another podcast. And then I didn't have much to do the rest of I think I had the other glass of wine and a pour on Saturday night, and that was it. So this barrel strength went straight to my head. Already I'm flying and I'm enjoying.
Oh my God.
Actually,
you're such a lightweight.
No, right now I am a lightweight with me barely eating anything all day. I'm eating like a bird, trying to get that, look it's actually down from the last time. I mean, you can see I got a waist instead of just a big, huge,
Yeah. I see it.
Yeah. So
okay.
It's definitely, you're not going to see it in my face. That's for sure. With this,
I was going to say your face looked much thinner today.
Yeah. That's because when I go in between, I just suck my cheeks in like this. Watch.
Yeah. That's it. Yep.
That's how you do it.
Okay.
All right, so let's get going on Starlight, what you're gonna now. It's the name of the brand is or the distillery is Starlight Distillery, but the name of the brand of bourbon and rye is Huber's, right?
So no, so the Huber family, the farm and the winery is named after the family Hubers. So when they started the distillery and got their license to sell bourbon or to make it in 2001, they named it Starlight after the town that they're located in. So Starlight is a brand of Huber, but that's how it's come to be.
Okay, what's the name of their wine? What's
The
that?
wines are Huber family wines, which I have
Okay.
several of those. Love their wine. They have anything from just regular. They make strawberry. They have several great wines, and then they have some dessert wines like raspberry. A couple of different ones too. And that what they do with their dessert wine is it's mixed with a brandy to give it a little more potency.
Okay. So overall, I'm enjoying this pour for sure. It's
Yeah.
like it tastes better than what I even remember, but considering we went through 12 barrels prior
That
to
time.
there, we then had a pour at the restaurant, and then we got there. I was not driving.
Yeah, it's when you get there and you do whether you're doing a barrel pick or a tour. The one time I went on a tour, I was just on a tour and got to the Rick House, and the girl who was doing the tour said, is there anybody that wants to try anything specific? Well, I saw Ted and Christian in the Rick House that we were in. They were testing barrels to decide whether to put them to go ahead and bottle them or put them up and let them age a little longer. And I said, well, I've really been wanting to try this cigar batch. And so Ted instantly pops his head up and he's like, what do you know about cigar batch? I said, well, I know I can't find it anywhere, so I don't know much about it other than that. And it went from right there. Ted found me a cigar barrel. We drank that. We drank, I can't tell you how many other ones. And the people that were in our tour just kind of sat there and they're like, what's going on? And the girl who's doing the tour said, I've never seen this before. He's, it's just, Ted's a really nice guy and he's having a great time. And the girl who was with us in the tour, which I didn't know her at that point, but her name's Kara. And Kara is one of the tour guides at Old Forester. And so when she got done, she was like, I've never seen anything like this in my life. And from that day, Kara and I became good friends, and she's an awesome person. So Kara's out there.
Still a tour guide at Old
She's a tour guide. She does tours. She does. She's a bartender, and now they just promoted her, and she's off site a little bit more now at the main distillery, not the one downtown. So Kara's awesome, but yeah, just that's the family. That's the way they are. They want you to enjoy. They want to show off the product that they have put out there. So yeah, that's kind of some of the stuff that you get into when you go to the Hubers and to Starlight.
All right. So let's what's your next pour, and then we'll talk a little bit about what's going to happen in a couple weeks when we're down there.
Okay.
What we hope happens.
Let me start. I was going to start with these three that kind of kicked butt last year, but I want to start with the one that for me got me interested in Starlight. So I had heard about Starlight last year. And again, if we're in Ohio, it's not really available. They don't distribute it in Ohio. So you're not going to see it on a shelf here. You would have to find it on a site like Sealbox, or you would have to go to Kentucky or Indiana to be able to buy it. Well, last year, this bottle came up and it was a special finish barrel. Not a finish, but a barrel. And it was a Fred Minnick pick that Sealbox had on their website, and it was a Tokai barrel, which I couldn't even figure out how to say what it was, because when you look at it, it's a Tokaji, and I think I pronounced it Takaji forever, but I think they actually pronounce it Tokai. But this is Carl T is our signature bourbon, named after fourth generation family member Carl Theodore Huber. After a minimum of 4 years aging in new charred oak American oak barrels, then it's finished in a Hungarian Tokai barrel. Notes of stone fruit, honey, and tangerine provide this Carl T with rich layers of complexity. So when I saw this, and Fred Minnick had said that it was just amazing, one of the better bottles. And so I bought it, and immediately after drinking it, and I'm pretty, I don't drink much of it because it's that good. I just don't want to run out because it's gone. But that bottle got me to really enjoy Starlight. So from there, I started picking up more and more. And honestly, I've never found one that I didn't like. They're all good, some better than others. But my next pour is going to be of the honey. So that's the one we'll start drinking.
Okay. That's great. So
let's talk about the honey. So this is the honey that they have at the farm. So they source their honey from the farm. It's not brought in from somewhere else. The honeybees are there on the farm, and then they take it and they put the honey in the barrels that they've aged their 4-year bourbon in. And then it sits for a matter of 6 months, I think. And then they bring that out. And if you look at the bottle, it still has char in the honey, and it is amazing. Then they take and they produce the honey barrel. This bottle is amazing. As you can see, I've got 2 of them. This one's almost gone. As it says here, this is our signature bourbon again, and that signature bourbon's what you have, Jeff. Right. That's what you're drinking. So after this one is set in there for 4 years, then it is transferred to then finished in a ex-bourbon barrel aged with finished honey from the farm. This sweet floral notes of it's hard to see, honey complex the characteristics, flavors, blah, blah, blah. And it does. It's delicious. So if you haven't had a honey finished bottle, this is not like some of them. I've had bottles that actually taste like raw honey and they're too sweet. This is not that. It's very, very good.
Yeah, that's a skill.
Oh yeah.
How much you leave in the barrel. Alan Bishop of the Spirit of French Lick and also master distiller there has talked about distillers know what they're doing. When you do, there's a wet barrel, which has a little bit of the product. Then there is a dry barrel, which once you've done it, the product has dried out. And when you drop the whiskey back in, you're activating it as a finish. Now, you can actually do that with a wet barrel too. He didn't say you couldn't. But if you're leaving, 5-6 jars of honey in the honey barrel, then you're a rectifier, So distillers know what the rules are. They know how to not break it. But like you said, it's not too sweet.
No.
That means that, Ted and his son, they know what they're doing. They're not trying to rectify and make, honey flavored bourbon using honey. They're trying to make honey finished bourbon. And that is something that, that's a skill. There's no doubt. And what would you say? It's a desire to not break rules, because rules, a lot of people break rules, but when you break rules in bourbon and you break rules in whiskey, usually that means you're doing it for reasons that are nefarious. It's, if you get that honey and you could taste there's like honey in there, there's no way that they were doing it right. It's a finished bourbon, not a rectified flavored bourbon. And that's where the line comes in.
I don't know exactly, but there are some brands and they do a ton of barrel picks. And I see them out there. I'm sure everybody else does too. And they have a lot of honey bottles that come around. It is a different kind of sweetness, and not that that's bad, because some people like that, but this is not super uber sweet. It is just enough that it's a honey barrel, but it's not overwhelming. So
Well,
that
but
if you can find it anywhere, which usually I think the place that you see this the most, this one came from Total Wine. This bottle I picked up, that funny story. I went into a Total Wine in Lexington, and I just went in to see what they had. And I saw this sitting there, and I'm like, I've never been able to buy that bottle. And I pick it up, take it to the register, and the guy's like, well, that person just returned that bottle this morning. I guess it went to a bar or whatever, and they didn't need it, so it got returned. And that's the only reason it was on the shelf. But Papa Joe's over in Indiana, which I have a bottle back there from Papa Joe's, they do barrel picks with Starlight, so they'll get the honey bottles as well sometimes.
so just so you know, that's another really cool thing about everybody that is hunting bourbon. So everybody has their own stories to tell, and one of the stories you got to really go by when you're hunting bourbon is that when you miss out, which you're going to miss out on a good amount of it, but there's always that time that makes it so much fun when you walk in and that return bottle was put back on the shelf and you were able to get it. And that's really the cool thing about why we hunt bourbon, right?
Yeah, we say it all the time. The hunt is part of the fun. If you could walk in and buy every bottle you wanted, and we know the Buffalo Trace story. If you could walk in and buy every Pappy you wanted, if you could buy anything you wanted was sitting on the shelf at MSRP, there would be no enjoyment of doing it, and it just would kind of fizzle. But the fact that there's so much out there, but not enough for everybody, kind of makes it fun to hunt it. And sometimes you just pick up a random bottle and it's amazing. So
right. And that's what makes, I find, craft distilleries, although they produce less whiskey than a big distillery. What happens is you get to have it because it's only there in Tennessee. So it's part of the hunt too, trying to find these specific bottles that are out there. And especially when a craft distiller catches on, like Starlight, they did. And then the hunt was on for the cigar blend, which you had, and you got to share that next time I'm down. Yeah, so I think the next time I come down, you're just going to pour me cigar blend all night long while we smoke cigars. That's what's going to happen. I'm just going to pass out on the couch.
I think I have, between Starlight, Magnus, and some other ones, I've got a pretty good array of cigar batches, so we can definitely do that.
Also, Magnus, if you want to know what we thought of the Joseph Magnus cigar blend, Matt Leisen of Cleveland on the Rocks just dropped his podcast with us, or his episode, on YouTube. So check out Cleveland on the Rocks and the Scotchy Bourbon Boys tasting.
And Joseph me turning Magnus off the lights on and off like 18 times.
But that's not why it's funny.
No, it is funny because of that. That's all we're gonna say. Shut it. So the honey barrel or the honey bottle, say honey barrel, which is funny because you'll see people who do barrel picks with this, and they Winnie the Pooh is on so many of them I can't even tell you. But this is a great bottle. The next one,
isn't that almost like, that's almost really putting Winnie the Pooh on a whiskey bottle is almost close to pedophilia. I mean, for God's sakes, you're like enticing children to drink it. Like, you bring it home, and then your 2-year-old that watching Winnie the Pooh like sees it on your bottle is going to be drinking it. Now that is wrong on I don't know how many different levels, but go ahead.
So the next one I'll do is the maple syrup. So this one, like the honey, they finish their maple syrup in a bourbon barrel. Then they let it age for about 6 months. Then they sell the syrup. And this bourbon, same situation, goes back into that barrel to pick up those flavors from the maple syrup. And it's amazing. So my friend Caleb, Caleb's watching. Hey, Caleb, he would tell you this is probably his favorite bottle by far. When he bought this was a Papa Joe's pick that he brought me back. And he's like, Chris, have you tried the maple syrup one yet? Have you tried it? And I'm like, I haven't. I've tried the cigar because I'd been waiting on the cigar for so long that the maple was on the furthest thing from my mind. It is amazing. It is amazing. And it's kind of like the honey. It just takes a little bit of sweetness to it. Again, may not be for everybody, but it is delicious. This is the maple syrup.
Well, have you ever tried Decadence by Widow Jane?
No, is that the black label?
It's like a copper label.
I have
But
not. The 14-year decadence.
Yeah, which she sent me as far as what to try it on the podcast. That's some delicious, delicious finished whiskey. There's no doubt about it. I mean, maple makes more sense than honey. You get like in 10% of your bourbons, you pick up some honey. So but maple,
it's like
when you're talking about maple, caramel, and brown sugar, you pick that up on almost all bourbons.
Yeah. So I think it's like, depending on your thing, like Julian Van Winkle loves honey type notes with his bourbon when he makes a drink. And then there's people like me that I like to make an old fashioned with maple syrup. Starlight's maple syrup is off the hook, and that's the one that I do the most. And it is amazing. And so I think it's just different types of palate, whether you like a lemon and honey, or do you like the brown sugar maple syrup kind of thing. I want
them to age caramel in a bourbon barrel, and then I want them to age bourbon barrel aged caramel, and then I want bourbon barrel finished caramel.
It'll take 4 more years to get the shit out of the barrel.
You could put caramel in at a more liquid form.
No, I'm out. No caramel.
You'd have to take the caramel like maple syrup. So I think when you're aging maple syrup, you should you should fill the bourbon barrel with the directly with what comes out the tree. Then pour it in and condense it down. Now that's something I don't think anybody's done. Just fill up, hundreds of barrels of just the watered maple sap coming off the tree, then make the maple syrup and use the barrels to age your bourbon.
So we'll ask Ted when we go down there in a couple of weeks and see if your idea, if he wants to use
same thing. I could do that with Kevin Holly up in
yeah,
that might be something to do. I mean, get enough barrels and just put the sap right out of the tree straight in, then age it there for 6-8 months, and then boil it down into maple syrup.
Yeah,
that would be interesting. It'd probably start on fucking fire because all the alcohol going in from the bourbon barrel. But yeah,
right. So the third one, again, I think for 2022, that was such a hit, and still a hit, because you don't find it if the distillery, if Starlight announces that they're releasing any 3 of these, I will just tell you, it comes out. I'm on Facebook. I'm in their email group. They'll send it out to you and tell you you don't get a chance to buy it hardly. You better be there waiting in line when they open, and it doesn't happen very often. But the cigar batch is definitely different. It's not. I don't think this is for everybody. I think that you have to have a little different palate to enjoy the cigar. It's a deeper, darker fruit. It definitely, when you drink it, you're going to think, man, this is good with a cigar. It's not a sweeter bourbon. It's drier. It's just has a different flavor. Very good. Of the cigar batches I've drank, I like it a lot. So just think of that if you're out hunting and you're like, man, I really don't like cigars, and I don't like tobacco.
Proof on that? What's the proof on that cigar blend?
This one is 110.4.
Okay.
And this again was a Papa Joe's pick. And Caleb went to pick this up for me because he found out Papa Joe's had a couple of barrel picks of this and this, the maple syrup. So he ran over there and picked it up because we had never been able to find it. I have a cigar batch actually that came from Indiana, and this came from the Hubers, and this one is actually dipped in wax. So
nice.
Yeah. So haven't opened that one yet. I don't know the whole story, but it came straight from the distillery. But what's unique about this one is it's a bottled in bond. So never seen that, but it's a cigar batch bottled in bond. But again, different flavor profile, but still, man, it's tobacco leaves. It's definitely a darker tasting bourbon.
So I've been working on it for you. What do you think? What's your critique?
Your spin?
Yeah, spinning. I think it's going pretty good. I got it. I don't have the look because
Yeah, you're doing great.
I got a look.
Must be the slim. You slimmed down and now it's just like happening. That's what it is.
That's what it is. I'm more limber. Let's wait.
So when you drink, I will tell you this: when you drink that cigar batch, you when you smoke a cigar, that flavor stays in your mouth. It stays in your mouth. It is a very strong
finish.
Is that what that is? Amburana? Is that what makes that wood? Yeah,
you're the one.
It's a Brazilian. So the wood for the barrel that makes it a cigar batch is that it's an Amburana Brazilian wood that Ted brings up, and like he'll tell you that there's not too many places that get it. He'll sell off some of his that he makes the barrels with, but that is what gives it its very unique flavor, and why it's called cigar is because it has such a strong tobacco flavor.
Are all cigar blends in those barrels?
Yes. And even companies like I've got a bottle up here of Oak and Eden, which Oak and Eden puts staves, like spiral staves in theirs, and that's an Amburana stave to give it that flavor profile.
I didn't know that. I had no idea. Thank you.
It's a very rare wood. It doesn't come up here very often, so it's definitely different. But again, and I'll read this because I didn't read it. This is their signature bourbon. Again, the one you're drinking. After 4 years of aging in an new American oak barrel, this small batch was transferred into a Brazilian Amburana barrel. This process provides intense baking spice aromas, sweet vanilla flavor, and cigar box notes to complement the traditional bourbon characteristics. And that's what it does. So, it again, with a cigar, amazing, but it is definitely not going to be everybody's cup of tea. The other one that I'm going to drink real quick that I think they do really well with when they do their wine single barrels. This is their triple sec bottle that they did in a triple sec barrel. So this one they claim has rich notes of orange, complement the vanilla fruit.
Go figure on that.
Yeah. But that's a very good bottle. I don't see that bottle. I picked that up at the distillery, and I have not seen that barrel out much either. So it's one of those, again, when you go to the distillery, you have a chance to buy some different things that you may not find out in the wild.
Well, that's the way it is with craft distilleries. Even if you check out the Spirit of French Lick, if you're at the distillery, there are some single barrels of their stuff that, there's a chocolate malt, which was the Charles Ballard. And you're not going to see those brands on the shelf, especially not in Ohio, because they're not in Ohio, but even in Kentucky. It's like, if I'm going to see some French Lick, it's going to be either Lee Sinclair or Maddie Gladden. I'll see that at maybe Party Source or whatnot. Now, if you're in Indiana, that's a whole different story. You walk into one of their liquor stores right close to the Spirit of French Lick, and you're going to basically have the whole line there. But that's kind of how that works with these distilleries. They're making as much as they can and selling. They just keep selling. Now, what I'm looking forward is to meet Ted. You've met him, you've went on that tour, but what I'm excited about is we are going there. I don't even know if Ted knows that you're coming, because he knows of you, right? I mean, you've been down there and he knows who you are on the barrel picks, and that type of thing. but does he know that you're a Scotchy bourbon boy and you're coming with Turner and we're basically going to, it sounds like we're just going to freaking on a Saturday afternoon own the shit out of the distillery all day long.
Yeah,
Like,
we're
it's
gonna
gonna be
definitely be
rum.
doing some lives from that.
Yeah. It's just like, and I just look forward to,
Hey,
him.
and it realistically, does Ted know that we're coming down? Probably has no clue. That man has so much going on. But the one thing about it is when he sees us, if he's there, because obviously he may not be,
Well,
but if he's
according
there,
to Turner, he's going to be there because
well,
we are going to be blending and doing shit.
oh,
I mean,
if Ted's there,
It's-
we are going to be in trouble.
but it's good because that's what we're going down there to do, is get in trouble. And what I really am excited about is that, CT, that's one thing I'll ask you when we finish up, is like, now that you're a Scotchy bourbon boy, right?
Right.
And you can drop that card and you can walk in, and what have you noticed a little bit of a difference on how you're getting treated, or has it been pretty much the same? I mean, it's like, what I know is that if I just walked in before, as you could get an experience if you did the right thing. But now that you're part of a podcast, it's almost like you get the red carpet rolled out. So have you noticed that yet?
I don't know that I've noticed it like that. I think most of the relationships I built with most of the distilleries, the people in them, I built just being
On your own.
me. I didn't build it by hey, I'm this person or that person. It was just, hey, I'm an everyday guy from Ohio that just likes the history and everything that's going on. So I think that it gives me a little different angle. But now being a part of this and being able to get the word out, it even makes it more fun for me because it's not a monetary thing. It's a passion. It's something to say, I'm passionate about this, and there's probably other people who would like to be.
Well, hopefully we can make this monetary for everybody.
Well,
but what I've always noticed, what the difference was, once the podcast started to get popular, if you're in the gift shop and you mentioned that you're with the podcast,
that does happen. Yes.
If it didn't get back to the right people, you got treated just like the normal person. Like at Watershed, I know that Amy and the people at Watershed, but once I was in with Aaron and Ann and Greg, when I went down there, they wanted to show me everything that they had. And that's the one thing. We're getting close. You joined, and you basically signed up at Kentucky Bourbon Festival. That's kind of where I met you, at Mother Stewart's. And I knew I wanted to meet you again, not just because I met you, because of what you offered. And you offered it up. And I'm just going to say, when you offer up what you offered up, most people will treat you a lot different.
Well, and the thing is, I think it's like all of us, if you like what you're doing and you enjoy being around people and you're treating people right, and that's the thing with the Hubers. I think just because they're such a good family, they see through a lot of stuff. I'm sure they get hit with a lot of different things, but this is a great brand that they've created that unfortunately it's not available in Ohio like it could be, because there's 20 bottles here that I'm telling you.
This is all I got. I'm here in Ohio. This is all I can get. I went to the distillery. I bought a bottle that they had available at the time, in the gift shop. I got to taste a bunch of, we tasted stuff. Probably half of what we tasted wasn't available, but this was pretty damn good. And once again, tasting it tonight, I thought it was great. But that's what we're about, promoting the brand and talking and telling people so that you can get this message out to the general public that they're there, because, they're making some good stuff, reasonably priced. It's not like they're overpriced. There's no doubt about it. Craft distilleries, that used to be, probably 75% weren't any good and 25% were good. And now it's like 95% of the craft distilleries, they know what they're doing. They know what they got to do to put out what, nobody's putting out. It's rare that you taste shit.
Yeah.
And Starlight's no exception. This is not your normal craft distillery, right?
No, it's a lot larger. And again, no one else has the arsenal that they do, really. I mean, there's some that have wine, obviously, Spirit of French Lick, and some of the other ones have their own wine, but to the volume that Starlight does, to be able to do the triple sec, to be able to do a finished in Pinot de Charentes barrel. They do a double oak. They do a bottled in bond. They do, oh my gosh,
pull that teardrop bottle up, and that's what we'll finish on.
Oh, the pear.
There you go. Just like Alan doing all the brandy. I mean,
So the real quick story on this, and then like we said, we'll finish on it. So when you go to Huber, they started being brandy and wine. Brandy takes longer to make, so they did wine as well. But brandy was their like signature thing for years, because they did it for 100 and some years before they ever did bourbon. But the farm had pear trees, and the pear trees there produced the fruit that they made the brandy. And this bottle would sell for, I think, $79 in the store, in the distillery, when they were doing pear brandy, because it only could be made once a year. It's not a fruit that's going to grow 2-3 times throughout the year, and they're not getting it from other places. So from the farm, they did it once a year, and they would sell it. Well, one year, a few years back, the trees got a disease and died. And when the pear trees died, they did not replace them. So these bottles of pear brandy were gold. And at the last time that I was at the distillery and they had a few cases left, the bottles were selling, I think, for $189. The last few bottles that they were going to have, they were going to raffle off for a charity auction. But this is something that'll never be again. And you can see I haven't opened it yet. It's one of those that I kind of cherish as a one of a kind. I've tasted this. You can taste it when you go to the distillery. You can pay for a tasting of it, and it's not that expensive. It's definitely worth doing, because I love pear. That is one of my favorite fruits. So it's amazing.
Yeah. And so talking with Alan, and I can't wait to talk with Ted. Okay. So as distillers in Indiana, brandy, like you said, was, prohibition ended distilling in Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why they didn't start distilling again till 2001, when they opened the distillery, started making more brandy and whatever, is because the laws were all written to not bring back distilling, because of the fact that that alcohol is evil. Now they kept their winery going, and it took a long time to reestablish, but they established in a time period where bourbon was just starting to come back, where they started distilling again. And I'm sure they were doing the brandies, but Alan talks about all the stuff that was distilled. There's so many different type grains and brandies and different ways of doing yeast and everything, that you can make some fantastic alcohol. But at the same time, there's so many of the things like that. It's not new. It basically is a lost art that is being rediscovered. And that's kind of like what you're dealing with that. They could go out and buy pears from Indiana and redo another one, but they're all about
not them
producing what they grow.
Yeah, they want to use what they have sourced from them. The corn, for their bourbon and stuff, doesn't come right from their farm, and they'll tell you that they source it from a local farmer that does the corn, which is fine. But when you go in there, I think they have and I could be wrong on the number, but it's 13 or 18 different styles, I shouldn't say styles, different grapes. They actually grow 13 to 18 different types of grapes. That's crazy to think of, but this place is huge. I think it's 808 acres of farm.
Yeah.
So
Awesome. That is totally awesome. Yeah.
the dog is not awesome. Hey, shut up.
Yeah, he is.
Get in here. Luke, come here. He's back. He's howling at a cat outside.
Give him a cameo.
Come here, Luca. Come here. Come here. He wants to go down this weekend. He wants to go Friday down to Kentucky to go drink some from the barrel.
Right at Luca Mariano out there.
Yeah.
Out there. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we're talking to Hannah. We're gonna probably go to see Hannah at Whiskey Thief, and then we're just gonna go have a fun time.
Awesome. That's awesome. All right. So I mean, I can't wait to get down to Starlight on that Saturday. We'll be taking we'll be doing live updates, plus we'll be taking lots of video. We'll be putting that up on YouTube also, and it's going to be a blast. I look forward to Turner. Hopefully Alan will show up. I mean, we are talking. I even invited Randy Prossi from Kentucky Bourbon Festival president to come down with us on that Saturday. I don't know if he will, but I think we are going to, the Scotchy Bourbon Boys are going to make we're going to put our mark at Starlight with Turner Wathen. I mean, Turner is excited. Turner has a personality that's just pumping me up. Dude, I mean, I want to go down there. When I see him, I want to jump on him.
He is going to, he's definitely got a vibrant personality that we are going to mesh so well with. It's going to be epic.
All right, everybody. Tonight, that was Starlight and Ted Huber and his son. What's his son's first name?
He's got two sons, Christian, and oh my God, I'm going to be shot for not thinking of his other son's last. Oh my God. He's got two sons, so we'll go with that.
That's okay. And we can't wait to come down and meet you guys. Have a good time with Turner. Hopefully everybody else. It should be a really good time.
Yeah. And if you've got a Saturday that you don't have anything planned, I'm telling you, get a tour scheduled. Go make the drive down there. You will absolutely have an awesome time. If you get a chance and you can eat, the pizza is phenomenal. So the market will be open. You'll be able to buy fresh produce. Take the kids. They have like a little farm area for the kids to play. But definitely go check them out. It's worth the 3-hour drive from Columbus and however far from where you live.
All right. Don't forget upcoming podcasts. We've got Chicken Cock Whiskey Master Distiller Greg Schneider coming up on Thursday. I just received the samples of Green River Wheated Bourbon and their High Rye Bourbon, and that's coming up soon. I'll be tasting that, along with we are going to be podcasting with David Schmier. Dave is a master blender that produces some damn good whiskey. I mean,
yes, he does.
He knows what he's doing. He basically lays down, his palate is unique. He knows what he's doing. He knows what type of whiskey to lay down. And we are going to be having him on a podcast, tasting his line, coming up real soon. So we got samples of that. And then also Great Lakes Distillery. When I was there, they let me leave with their rye and their bourbon. That's an upcoming podcast also. So,
and then Friday before we go to Starlight, we have.
Oh yeah, we have
the
Dan
mega.
McKee. I mean, we are talking. If you want Kentucky bourbon, big distillery, big name distillery, master distiller Dan McKee will be on the podcast with us that Friday. We should be doing a Facebook Live at about 1:30 on Friday, I believe April 27th. And then we'll be heading to probably try and do a podcast with Turner and Ted from Starlight. So that's all coming up. The Scotchy Bourbon Boys are trying to deliver high-end bourbon experiences and tell you about where you need to get and go to. All right, CT, thank you for coming in, sharing your Starlight knowledge. I mean, honestly, this is mine. That's yours.
Hey,
so, you know,
it's all good. And, hopefully somebody out there got some good out of this and they'll go try it and say, wow, I didn't even know this existed. So,
well, we recorded it. So somebody will be putting it up on, it's on YouTube Live. We'll be uploading the video to Facebook, and then also we'll be uploading this podcast tonight to all the major podcast formats. That just leads me into www.scotchybourbonboys.com. Check that out for all things Scotchy Bourbon Boys. Remember, our sponsors are the Spirit of French Lick and also Log Still Distillery. They distill Monks Road. And Wally and Lynn Dant and Charles Dant down there are doing some amazing things. Check it out, logstilldistillery.com, and then also the spiritofFrenchLick.com for our sponsors. And that also brings us to the end of another podcast. Remember, good bourbon, good whiskey equals good friends and good times, and drink responsibly, but go out there and live your life dangerously. Little Steve-O is going to take us out. Let's see. Woo!
you didn't even sing.
Oh, show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. Show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. For if we don't find the next whiskey bar, I tell you we must die. I tell you we must die. I tell you we must die.
Boom. That's done for that. We're still live on YouTube. Hey, Roxy. I don't even get a hey.
Hi, Roxy.
Oh, she's waving. She gave us a wave. You can say hi. There you go. You hear her voice. There you go. Thanks, man. Hey, come look at CT's collection of Starlight. Just real quick. Don't come on. You just look on you don't have to actually be on, but look at that.
Wow.
This is all I got.
Oh, shut it. You got way more of other things.
All you need.
No, this was a good one for, I think it was CT's. We used his expertise. So it's like, it wasn't all about Tiny tonight. It was about CT.
Wait a minute. You did. It was tiny because you talked about being tiny through here.
Oh yeah. You could see the little bit of a difference on the waist. She doesn't see it. She's like, he's full of shit.
Well, if she doesn't see it, what'd she say?
She saw it. She sees it in my ass. That's where I just lose all the weight off my ass. Well, no, I shrink down proportionately. So it's like, I start out like this, and as I go like this, it's like, it's still proportionally out of proportion. So it's like, even when I gain weight, she 20 pounds here or there, she's just like, I don't see it. But that's, the whole body dysmorph, whatever that's called, dimorphism.
Yeah.
All right. So I'm gonna get us off YouTube live. We actually have 2 people watching right now. Are you watching YouTube?
No, I'm not. I'm watching my phone.
All right. So let's take us off. All right, everybody on YouTube. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. Good night. Make sure that you go out there, drink responsibly, live dangerously, and